Hi everyone, welcome to Chidi Fashions YouTube channel. Hope you're having a great day. We're going to do a quick tutorial on how you can make your own face mask at home. It's pretty simple. You can do it with any fabric that you have at home. And if you don't have a sewing machine, I'm going to use needle and thread so that you can do it. First, we're going to create the pattern so that you can cut the fabric. We're going to, if you don't have the pattern paper, you can use the regular printing paper, which is what I'm using. Have two of them, that way it's a little thicker. And some of the things that you will need will be tape, measuring tape. If you don't have one, you can use a regular ruler. We're going to need a pen so we can draw the pattern, scissors, the fabric that you're using. And if you don't have this curved ruler, that's fine. And then the needle and thread as well. So for the standard mask is usually you start off with a 6x6 box, a square box. So I'm going to use my ruler to draw that out. We're doing a 6 inches box. And then we close out the box on the top. So this is the standard measurement for the mask, and then we're going to fill in our measurements. It doesn't have to be perfect line because we're gonna cut it out. And after that, then we're going to carve out for it to look, take the face of our face. So come to the bottom. From the left hand side, we're going to mark 2.5 inches. Make sure you're using your inches. If you don't have inches, you can always convert it. 2.5 inches on that side, and then on the other side we're going to do 2 inches. So we're marking it right, and then on this side we're going to do 1/3 inch. That will be here. And on the other side, we're going to do 1.5. Right? And then we're going to connect the line. If you have this ruler, you could just use it to connect it like this so that it's curved and not a sharp line. Right? If you don't have that, I will do it with my hand so that you can kind of see how it works. Just kind of like connect it like this, right? And then on the top, we're going to mark two inches from your left hand side, and then on the right hand side we're going to only mark 0.5, half, right? And then we're going to connect it from the top to the bottom. Right, and we connect the bottom here as well. Right, so this is the shape that we're looking for, and then you can cut it out. You can just cut it out. Start from the top. So this is basically how the pattern looks, and with this, once you have the pattern down, you can basically use it on any fabric. that you are using, because you have the pattern set. And now that it's 2 papers, now you have 2 patterns. I only need one of it, and now you can transfer it to the fabric. I am going to use 2 different fabric because the mask is reversible. You can use it on either side, so I'm using 2 different fabrics so you can see each side. You could literally use any fabric. It doesn't have to be the Ankara material. It could be an old top or skirt or dress that you have that you don't really wear, and you can use it to make the mask, because now we have to wear a mask when we go outside. This is a little piece of fabric that I had, so I'm using that. When you place your pattern on the fabric, fold the fabric so that when you cut it out, you have two pattern, because we're going to need 2 of it. So fold it into 2, and then you place your pattern. Place it in a way that you have space to cut it out. I usually use a pin to hold it so that the pattern doesn't move when I'm cutting it, because I will be moving the fabric around. So I usually use a pin to hold it. If you don't have a pin, you can always use tape, something that we have at home. You can use tape, and you could just fold it the other way so that it sticks on either side, and you could just place it, press it down, and it stays. And then we can cut out the fabric that we need. When I cut it out, I like to use this zigzag scissors because it makes the ends of the fabric really nice. It's not a requirement. If you don't have, you could use the regular scissors. It works just fine, but I like the ends to look good. The ends are not going to show in the final product, so it doesn't really matter how they look. And try not to cut too close to the pattern so that it does not rip, and you can just move it around. This is why we had to pin it down or tape it, because when we move it, we don't want the pattern to shift. So we're just gonna cut it out. Right, see how the ends are pretty zigzag? I just like when it looks like that. Right. Follow the shape of the pattern, because we want the fabric to just look as the same as the pattern, right? So we have this. We don't need this extra one. And when I'm done with this, I could just take out the pin, take out the tape, and I will cut the second fabric that I need. Again, fold it into 2, right? Make sure the ends line up, and I will place this again. The tape side, if you have a pin, you could use a pin to hold it. You can use as many pins as you want to secure. You could do top, bottom, side, but I just need 1. And always start cutting from the straight line, because that makes it easier to start. This and this. Now we no longer need the pattern. We can put that away to the side. Now this is what we have. This is the mask. We can start to see the shape come together. So we are going to join it like this. We're going to join it, right? But before we join it, we're going to sew the bottom, because this is the bottom of the mask. Make sure the right side of the fabric are facing each other. You place it, and we're going to sew from here, from one edge around to the other edge. Same thing with the other one. Left side, the left side is the back of the material, the right side is the front of the material. So flip it so that the front sides are touching each other. Okay. We're going to sew So I know a lot of people don't have a sewing machine at home, so I'm going to use regular needle and thread. You could use a needle and thread to make the mask. You don't need a sewing machine. Just make sure that the end of your thread is knotted so that it does not come through. And I will start at the end, right? And it really doesn't matter what color of thread that you use because it's not gonna show. So if you don't have the color to match your fabric, that's okay. You could use whatever color that you have, because when we flip, we're gonna turn the fabric inside out. So you put it in, you take it out. And I'm gonna finish sewing it because when you sew by hand, that takes a little bit of time, like 5-10 minutes. And I will come back and show you what it looks like when it's all sewed up. I am back with how it looks when you stitch it or sew it. I went from one pointy end around to the other end. Same thing with the second one, from one end around to the other end. And remember, you could do with needle and thread because that's what we did. You don't have to have a sewing machine. And now when you flip it to the right side, this is the right side, right? And you flip it to the right side. This is what it looks like, right? So, and now we're going to take both of them and we're going to put it together. Right side, which is the front side, you put it on top of each other. It doesn't matter which way the fabric is facing, just make sure that the middle are together, right? The pointy side to pointy side, the other side to the other side. And see, looks like an offering box or fold, whatever, right? And now we are going to sew it across, right, from one end. So we're attaching both materials again with thread. I'm going to do one side with thread and the other side I'm just going to use a pin to hold it. So when you're sewing yours at home, make sure you're doing small short stitches so that the stitches are next to each other, because the farther apart they are, when you open it, you can see the holes, right? So we want the stitches to be literally next to each other, because that's the effect that the sewing machine gives you, right? You want the stitches to be next to each other. But because this is a video, I'm going to make like far apart stitches so that we're not sitting here for so long. And if you're not familiar with sewing, it's just you pull the needle, make sure it comes out to the other end, and you push it to come out to the opposite side, and you pull the thread. Right, so my thread is gonna run out soon, and I will just use pins to hold it. Okay, so let's say we got to the top, right? So we sewed from one end to the other, and I have to be careful because I'm working with pins here. You're gonna turn it out. Okay. I'm trying to be careful because the pins are kind of sticking out. Right? We're turning it out because when we're sewing on the left side, because that's where the thread, and we don't want people to see that. So we want the okay. So it starts to look a little more familiar now. As you can see, this will be what the mask look like. And to make the lines to be more sharp, you can iron it. You can iron out the edges, right? And when we said it's reversible on both sides, so if I wear the mask, I could choose to use this side. And the edges are rough because we're holding it with the pin, If you sewed it, it will be a little more smooth, and you iron it to hold it down. So I could wear the mask like this with this fabric, or I could just push it in, flip it, and wear it like this, right? That's why it's reversible. So you basically, whatever way you push it, like this, or you push this in, flip it, and you can wear it on this side. So this is pretty cool. That way it looks like you have two different masks, but it's actually one, right? Okay, now for the end, we're going to attach elastic. If you don't have an elastic band, you can also use the same fabric. You just measure it out. The only difference is that it's not gonna stretch. Now, standard measurement again is 6 to 7. So if you have a pretty small face, you can use 6. If you have wider face, because it's gonna go across your ear, you can use 7. But since this is for video purposes, I'm gonna use 6.5 since I don't really have anyone that I'm doing this in particular for. So if just to be on the safe side, if you're not really sure where you fall, just use 6.5 for the elastic. And if you're using a material, you will use a little more than that because the material will not stretch. So maybe do double of that, or just measure your face. We're using 6.5. You can use the ruler again. It's the same inches with the measuring tape. There's no difference. So we're doing 6.5. And you can, I need 2 of this, so you can use the one that you cut out to cut the second one. Cut the second one. Right, so now I have 2 of them. It's gonna go on each side. Now to put it, just fold in the ends. Fold it in by like 1/2 inch, just a little bit. If you don't, you can measure it, or you could just kind of gauge. Just fold in a little bit, the whole thing. Just fold in on both sides. Make sure that it's the same amount. Folding in. And I have to be careful because I have pins instead of it being sewn. Right, so we're folding in, and then we're gonna attach the elastic about 1/2 inch. So I'll put it somewhere here. We're doing 1/2 inch on each side, right? And I will take my, I can't sew it because I would like to flip it back out so I can take out those pins, but basically you would sew it down, sew it down. The same thing, 1/2 inch from the side. So I'm gonna attach the other end here. Sew it down. When you're sewing this, again, try to sew very small stitches so that it doesn't show. So take your time and do very small stitches. And when you sew it down, when I sew mine down, to close this opening, I usually sew from the inside so that the thread is not showing. But if you use a black thread and sew very small across, that can work as well. So I'm going to sew across so that I can close out this opening. So the pins are basically thread. Pretend that they're thread. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I fold in a little bit, about 1/2 inch. If you can't gauge how much 1/2 inch is, you can always measure it. And this is just a little harder because we didn't sew it. We use pins to hold it. So if it was sewn, it would be so much more easier to fold it in because the sides are not sticking out. And we'll do the same thing, 1/2 inch. So my elastic we start here. Again, the color of the elastic is really whatever color you want it to be, because the elastic is gonna show, so you kind of want to color coordinate. So for this one, I'll probably use white, black, brown. If you're really flashy somebody, you can use, you know, blue. Okay, and we'll put it in here again. That's about 1/2 inch. I sew it together. And again, to close out this hole, I will sew it across. Right, and your mask is good to go. Right, so since blue is my favorite color, we'll use the blue side. Right, and your mask is done. See, pretty simple. This takes like 20 to 30 minutes. It's pretty simple, and you can do it. You don't have to have sophisticated equipment. Basic ruler, scissors, a ruler, or a measuring tape. Either one is fine. You need an elastic. If you don't have an elastic, you could just use the material and just measure it across your ear. And then don't forget about your pattern. And with your pattern, you can now make as many fabrics as you want because you have the pattern. So don't throw it out, save it. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, share, like. If there's anything that you would like us to do a tutorial on, let us know. Please check out our website, www.chidifashions.com. You can order your mask, the ones that are already made if you don't got time for this. Also check out our Instagram, Chidi Fashions 17, Facebook, Chidi Fashions. Thank you for watching and stay safe, guys.